Some women can't cope on their own.
She always seemed to need a man in her life.
They need a man to adore them.
Sandy got what she wanted.
Or watch out.
They were completely unprepared for what they found inside the house.
Paris, Southern California, 1986. Divorcee and mother of 3, 22-year-old Sandy Neves is hoping the second time's the charm. She marries 36-year-old David Folden.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the joining of Frank and Sandy.
They meet in the most unusual circumstances.
Sandy married a man who, 2 years earlier, had been married to Sandy's mother.
Now pronounce you man and wife.
All in the family.
She seemed to be a woman who was always looking for a man in order to be able to support her and her children.
Her mother disowns her, but Sandy doesn't mind. She and David have a growing family of their own.
She had 2 more daughters with him.
David proves his devotion
She's sound asleep.
when Grandpa becomes daddy.
How would you feel if I adopted the other kids?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I love them like they're my own.
When he married Sandy, he adopted her 3 children from her first marriage.
To the outside world, Sandy appears to be a perfect mother.
The children were very well behaved. They were well-mannered. They were always immaculately turned out.
David's row.
He's on your team.
Modeled kids that you'd like to have as your own.
But when things don't go Mom's way,
We want David! We want David! We want David!
Who did that?
Come on, it was just an accident.
Inside the home was a different story.
Tell me who did it, or you'll all be blamed.
That's enough, Sandy. Sandy, that's enough.
Dare you? You do not interfere with me.
Sandy was, to say the least, strict with the kids. In fact, unreasonably strict.
You're the one that's always walking over me. These are my
They're
children.
my children, too.
They were very controlled, very, very obedient, almost like little soldiers.
No, they are not.
You are acting crazy and controlling.
She was very controlling, and Sandy got what she wanted.
I can talk to them however
this is
I want
not
their
what
lives.
David wants. After 8 years of marriage,
Crazy and controlling.
he tires of Sandy's tough love.
You try to control everything.
Crazy, I'll get you crazy.
They got a divorce. The marriage didn't last.
Now a single mom of 5, Sandy is not alone for long.
Sandy was the kind of woman who seemed to always need a man in her life.
Sandy eventually started dating a younger man who was in his 20s.
To Sandy, he's husband material.
You know my kids love you.
But young Scott isn't ready to be tied down.
Yeah, they're cute.
Probably highly unlikely to want to step in to a situation and be the stepfather of 5 young children.
Scott decides he won't be under her control.
She wanted to get married, and he didn't.
But I'm not ready to be a dad.
And eventually they did break up.
Sandy tries to get back on track without a man in her life.
She attended police academy. She was hoping to become a police officer.
But Scott leaves her a parting gift.
What was really devastating to Sandy was that he not only dumped her, but he left her pregnant. And she realized that she could not care for a sixth child on her own.
Can you please call me? We need to talk.
Eventually, she had an abortion, something that was very much against her nature.
Because she was Mormon, and that conflicted, it clashed with her beliefs. It made her feel guilty.
When a woman has an abortion, there is, within a few days, a rather abrupt hormonal shift that can cause a significant mood swing. If a woman goes in to have an abortion and she's already upset, there's a good chance when she has that mood swing, it's not going to be good. She's going to be depressed and anxious.
Sandy's losing control of her life. And things get worse when her ex-husband, David, wants out of the adoption.
Sandy received papers notifying her that her second husband had reversed his adoption of her 3 older children. Andy will potentially see a big drop in her child support payments.
Sandy's now lost all control.
I think it pushed her over the brink.
June 30th, 1998, Saugus, California.
Okay, settle down.
Just days after 34-year-old Sandy Neves has an abortion.
One over there.
She decides to give her 5 children a special treat.
They were going to have a slumber party.
They were having a party to watch television, watch movies, and have popcorn.
It was the first time the children ever had a slumber party together in the house.
But that party will change the family forever. The next morning, the house becomes a potential crime scene. Sandy and her 14-year-old son are outside, dazed and confused.
She had no memory.
Nothing at all?
That she just couldn't remember anything that had happened.
Inside the house, police officers are horrified by what they find.
They found 4 girls still in their pajamas, still in their sleeping bags, and they were all dead.
These little girls looked so innocent, but yet, they were lifeless.
It was determined that they died from carbon monoxide poisoning.
When Sandy is told her 4 young daughters are dead, her reaction is unusual.
But there was no emotion in her face. She was just very blank and matter-of-fact about it.
Detective Dolores Scott is one of the first to search the home. She smells gasoline.
4 different pours of gasoline in the hallway. The oven was open, and there was a singed kitchen towel.
There are signs of a fire, but it's not intense enough to burn more than the carpet. And they find letters.
She was very angry at her second husband, and she also felt heartbroken over her breakup with her ex-boyfriend and the abortion. And she wrote letters letting those men know exactly how she felt.
They were basically like goodbye letters. We took them as suicide letters. Everything that we found in the initial stage of the investigation led to her.
It becomes painfully clear what happened that night.
After the movie was over, the children settled down to sleep.
She had poured gasoline on certain spots in the house.
1.5 gallons of gas were used.
She has another message for the former men in her life.
She was angry. She was a woman scorned. She was going to take the things that they cared for the most, which was the children.
I'm gonna have the last word and take everything from you.
Sandy doesn't need a flame to kill her children. The smoke will do it.
She taped the doors and windows, probably thinking that that would keep the smoke in the room, not knowing that the fire needed oxygen. Sandy may have intended on dying with her children. What was supposed to be a murder-suicide turned into simply a multiple murder.
In April 2000, Sandy goes on trial. She commits one last terrible act.
She pointed the finger at David. If it wasn't bad enough that we knew this woman had deliberately tried to murder her kids by fire, now she was going to try and save herself by pinning it on her one surviving son.
She'd lost 4 children. What's one more?
The jury doesn't buy her story. Sandy Neves is convicted of murdering her 4 daughters and attempting to murder her son.
She was sentenced to death.
Sandy wanted the world to see her as the perfect mom, but her children were just pawns in her deadly game.
Sandy was of sound mind. She murdered her 4 children and tried to murder her 5th.
These were little girls. One of them was 5 or 6 years old. The oldest girl that died was 12. They were just beginning life. It still bothers me every day because you just can't get them out of your mind. It's devastating.
In the game of love,
in this case, it was twisted love.
rules aren't always respected.
It was just an American Horror Story.
Unless they come from the barrel of a gun.
I don't think anyone was safe.
In Vidor, East Texas, 2010. 56-year-old Julia Andrews is one tough grandma.
It was kind of her way or the highway.
Julia's raising her grandkids, Justin and Jessica. She hopes they don't make the same mistakes
Justin!
as their parents.
Wait till your mother calls.
Julia had to raise her grandchildren because their parents, Julia's children, were often in prison.
She won't be happy you're teasing your cousin.
What's she gonna do from prison?
Don't be smart. Put these away.
Although Julia would never get the Mother of the Year award, she was very supportive of the younger kids in the family and seemed to have a very, very big heart.
But Julia's heart is also lonely. She's had a string of broken marriages.
Julia was married 3 times in fairly rapid succession, and then she figured out maybe marriage wasn't the activity she should be involved in.
So when they get home, they find the postman dead on the porch.
Julia gives up on finding Mr. Right. Until one man changes her mind.
Okay, I'll tell you another gag. All right, so...
He was incredibly liked. He was good time petty. They loved having him around. He was very funny.
That's not the punchline.
The much younger Randy Petty seems a good catch.
Okay, so focus on me.
A boy toy for Julia.
You know, Julia had to be feeling pretty special, knowing that, you know, here she is in her 50s. She's got a boyfriend who's 16 years younger. You know, she's probably thinking, I'm pretty hot. And it really helped her self-esteem.
But Randy, too, carries scars from his past.
Several years ago, his young infant child died from SIDS. He never recovered from that. So he was a heavy drinker.
Randy Petty had a drinking problem.
You're so good to me.
So, of course, Julia fell in love with him.
Julia is transformed. It's goodbye, grumpy grandma.
Don't worry, I'll catch you. Don't make yourself useful. Okay?
Yeah, they got along. They laughed and talked and told each other, I love you all the time. And I mean, they were really happy.
Kaylin Hunt is the former fiancé of Julia's grandson. She was living in Julia's house at the time.
Yeah, as long as he wasn't drinking, he was a wonderful guy.
She's here, she's home.
In 2011, one more resident joins the already crowded household. Julia's daughter, 38-year-old Jackie Uzel, is out of prison after serving 9 years for arson and assault.
And this is Randy. Hi.
Things have never been better for Julia. She's got a man she loves and her daughter back.
Mama, you got yourself a boy toy.
They were best friends.
We're happy.
Everywhere Julia went, Jackie was with her.
Bet you are.
But one thing threatens the happy household. Randy's love of liquor.
Hey, give me another one.
You've had enough. Get off my back.
He was a real bad alcoholic. Normally around 8, 9 o'clock at night, he would start drinking. And he wasn't violent. He was just obnoxious and loud and...
Just trying to relax, have a beer. Get in there and get me one.
Night after night, there's friction. Julia turns to her daughter for help.
I hate it when it's like this. Let me talk to him. Why you gotta go make Mom mad like that?
Come on. Here, have a beer, relax. Come on.
Fine.
Now, Jackie was 39 years old, so she was an adult capable of making her own decisions. But taking up with your mom's boyfriend, that's just so inappropriate on so many levels.
That was a slow cooker for disaster.
On her 58th birthday, Julia Andrews feels she has plenty to celebrate. So she organizes a weekend family get-together to Jasper, Texas.
We were supposed to go on the camping trip. We had it all planned.
But there's something strange.
Where's your mom?
No idea.
Well, where's Randy? I want to get going.
Jackie and Randy weren't there. We couldn't find them.
Poor Julia is supposed to be having a celebration of her 58th birthday.
She's about to get a birthday surprise.
Are you gonna do that now?
Hi, Mama.
Oh, hon, where are you?
I'm at Galveston, the beach, with Randy.
What?
Her daughter, Jackie, thinks, oh, I've got to be honest to Mom. So she confesses.
Mama, we've started seeing each other.
That she's in love with Mom's boyfriend, and they are down at the beach.
You're joking.
Mama?
She was upset. I don't know if she was more upset that, you know, she had lost her boyfriend or that her daughter had betrayed her, but she was really upset about it.
How'd you take it?
Not good.
Along comes her own daughter who steals her man. It had to be devastating. Gave her a sense of betrayal, not just one-sided by her boyfriend, but two-sided because her daughter was involved.
Can we talk?
Bit late for that now.
Julia is torn between jealousy and love for her child.
It just happened. I love you, Mama.
But over time, she accepts the reality.
You're not gonna kick me out, are you?
Even allowing Randy to move in with them.
No.
Julia tried to tolerate the situation, saying that her daughter's happiness was her happiness. Oh, happiness all around.
So then I said to him, get out of the car. Get out of the car!
The night of November 28th, 2012, begins like so many others in Julia's house.
The problem was he'd been drinking all day.
Jackie isn't at home tonight.
Listen, I want to talk to you.
And Randy wants to have a heart-to-heart with his former lover.
Not a good idea.
He wanted to talk about it and she didn't, and he wasn't happy that she didn't want to talk about it.
Get out! Julia! Get out!
Things become a little bit volatile and angry.
Get! All right.
Kaylin Hunt is pregnant. All she wants is a quiet night at home.
Look, I don't care.
Randy was outside on the phone yelling.
Would you just listen to me?
And her and I just, you know, were listening to what was going on. And then we heard something hit her car.
Stay here.
She runs out and says to him, leave my car the F alone.
Stop! Randy, stop! What have you done?
Get out of here. You know, stop this right now.
Check me! Get off me! Get out!
Kaylin feels vulnerable and calls for help.
I called 911 just because I was scared. I was pregnant. I was just scared for my baby.
I need help.
And when Julia came in the house to get the gun, running commentary of what was going on while it was taking place right before her.
Kaylin's not in danger, but Randy is.
She went into a back bedroom and got a shotgun. It was a 22. And she went right back outside
After bottling up her broken heart for so long, Julia takes her revenge.
It was just too easy to pull the trigger. Just too simple to go 1, 2, 3. And Randy's gone.
She just shot him! She just shot him!
And then she just turned around and went and put the gun up and sat on the couch.
I can't believe you destroyed my car.
She just kept saying, I can't believe you destroyed my car. She never once asked if he was alive or if he was okay or if she shot him. She just kept worrying about her car.
The prosecutors have an eyewitness, a weapon, and a victim. There's no trouble convincing a jury of Julia's guilt. In August 2013, Julia Andrews is found guilty of murder. She is sentenced to 44 years in prison.
Love is a mysterious thing, and in this case, it was twisted love. She could not let go of the emotion she had for Randy Petty.
This is a cautionary tale. Don't fool around with your girlfriend's daughter. Things might not go your way.
Early, a tiny farming community in Iowa. A quiet, peaceful town. Then on December 13th, 2001, 35-year-old Tracy Richter has just put her 11-year-old son, Bert, to bed when she is the victim of a violent home invasion.
The big guy was dragging her around with pantyhose, slid her down the hallway.
Shut that kid up!
She overheard the little guy telling Bert behind the door, you know, shut up or you're next. And then the motherly instincts kicked in.
A mother's love gives Tracy the courage to fight back.
She was able to hop from the bed, unlock the gun safe, turn around.
She's got guns!
Fire. With precision, shot this intruder.
The big guy takes off running and she can hear him bounding down the stairs and opening the front door.
Mrs. Richter, you must have been scared. Was it hard to think under pressure?
You know, I just went into autopilot.
Tracy's sharpshooting feat
And how many shots exactly?
makes her an instant media sensation.
I believe it was 11, and 9 of which hit their mark.
She's like a local hero. You know, she's like a poster child for the NRA.
That's some pretty sharp shooting.
She was viewed as Wonder Woman.
And how did you get the mark on your neck?
Oh, this is when they tried to strangle me with the pantyhose.
There was no doubts or questions in anyone's mind that what she did was wrong.
Nate, jump in and get a close-up.
This modern-day Annie Oakley enjoys the attention.
She put a spotlight on herself because of the things that she said and the things that she did.
But Tracy's not telling her whole story. 13 years earlier, in Denver, Colorado, Tracy, a beautiful 21-year-old, marries Dr. John Pittman.
So I hear you guys are doctors.
Oh, I'm not a doctor. I'm a radiologist.
I'm a surgeon.
The college sweethearts seem a perfect match.
We met at college.
Tracy is studying radiology. She meets a man, the man of her dreams, if you will, and he's studying medicine.
They are an ambitious young couple.
They see their lives just going from one step to the next, up that ladder of life. It's gonna be perfect.
The arrival of a son 2 years later completes the perfect picture.
You get that expression when you sleep, too.
After their son was born, it seemed to outsiders that their marriage was flourishing.
But like many women, Tracy struggles with the demands of being a new mom.
Why don't you stay and help?
And John's long days at work add to her stress.
What time will you be home? Midnight?
5.
John's training to be a surgeon kept him out of the house about 120 hours a week.
Being home alone with a baby isn't Tracy's idea of fun. She soon finds a way to keep herself amused.
Boy, am I glad to see you.
You look at Tracy, and it's like she always wants something more. Happiness is not enough. A child is not enough. So I gotta what? I gotta up the ante again, and I gotta start an affair.
Tracy thinks it's her dirty little secret. But John is no fool.
He started suspecting Tracy was seeing other men.
Can I help you? Yeah, hi, I'm...
He hires a private investigator.
It's to check on my wife.
But nothing could prepare John for the report.
Not only did that investigator have his suspicions about Tracy, he told John the best thing he could do was to get out of that marriage, that he was in danger.
By 1992, the Pittmans' marriage is as rocky as the Colorado mountains.
My patient needed me.
You always have some excuse.
You really think I want to work these hours? I have no choice.
They got into an argument, and he decided to leave the house.
I have to go.
Oh, no, you don't.
Tracy absolutely lost it. Pulled out a gun, pointed it at him.
So what sort of wife, John is asking himself, would threaten her husband with a gun in the middle of a domestic argument? There's something within Tracy that John is about to learn that is very dark.
It's the last straw for John. He files for divorce.
What do you want?
But no one dumps Tracy.
Yeah, can you please sign the documents?
She goes right for the jugular. You know what? Nobody rejects me. I'm gonna get back at you, big time.
Tracy files for sole custody of her son.
What did you say?
You heard me.
All she wanted to do was hurt John because he wanted to leave her.
But the divorce judge rules they must share custody. With her marriage woes behind her, Tracy moves on to her second husband, Australian Michael Roberts. The couple moves to Early, Iowa.
By all accounts, the first few years of the marriage between Tracy and Michael seemed to be very happy.
Having a second husband doesn't lessen Tracy's anger towards her first. She keeps using her son to hurt John.
Tracy would deny Dr. Pittman visitation.
So John does something that any father would do. He goes after his son.
He's going for sole custody.
He attempted to get sole custody. Big problem. He unleashed a monster.
He's going to regret this.
In early Iowa, Tracy Richter has a new husband, but she's still in a bitter custody battle for her son with her ex, Dr. John Pittman. Then, on December 13th, 2001, Tracy's the victim of a shocking crime. A home invasion.
She's got guns!
She manages to fight back and kills one of the intruders. It turns out to be her 20-year-old neighbor, Dustin Weedy.
People just thought was a strange kid to begin with. People kind of wanted to accept the fact that maybe he was capable of that.
Why would Dustin want to hurt Tracy? According to his confession, found in a pink spiral notebook, Tracy's ex-husband hired him.
And the spiral notebook basically detailed that John Pittman had been in contact with him and wanted him to kill Tracy.
But John denies ever meeting Dustin. And police can't find any phone records connecting the two.
You know, I just went into auto.
As police continue their investigation, Tracy enjoys her hero status. But Special Agent Trent Valletta thinks something's up.
The marks on her neck looked red, but I kept asking myself, if you are getting pulled down the hallway, why isn't there more bruising?
And who's heard of a killer leaving a confession lying around?
Something doesn't smell right. In fact, something smells evil here.
But suspicions can't get a conviction. Without enough evidence, the case goes cold. But Agent Valletta can't forget it.
He was already obsessed. And I became obsessed.
In 2009, 8 years after the murder, Sac County District Attorney Ben Smith reopens the investigation. And Tracy's true colors are exposed.
What they find, they claim, is the most violent, most vile snuff pornography they've ever seen in their careers. This stuff is brutal.
30-plus videos of men breaking into a house and raping a single woman. There were dozens of pictures of dead bodies.
There wasn't anything Tracy didn't like to do. It all gave her a thrill.
When they re-interview a friend of Tracy's, she reveals information for the first time that breaks the case.
Tracy told her about a notebook just days after it happened.
Police never released the fact that they found the notebook confession.
What they did, which I thought was genius, was they told nobody about the pink notebook. So in their minds, they thought that whoever started talking about the pink notebook first would be the one that was guilty of the crime.
That's the case right there. She should have known about a notebook, right?
Tracy isn't a victim. She's a cold-blooded assassin.
Hey, Dustin.
Hi, Tracy.
Her kind-hearted neighbor didn't suspect a thing.
He was just more of a quiet kid, quiet, lonely kid that didn't have any friends.
Hey, could I borrow your muscles for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of a goofy-looking kid. but I think had a good heart.
Dustin often helps Tracy around the house. Today,
Come in.
she wants a lot more from him.
It would be extremely easy for a woman like Tracy to manipulate a guy like Dustin.
Take a seat.
What's going on?
Sit down.
She pulls out one of her guns and she says, "You're gonna write something down on a piece of paper, and you're gonna do it right now."
Write this down.
She forces Dustin to write a confession that implicates her ex-husband.
This was all about framing her ex-husband to get custody of Bert.
Faster, write it down.
She can take that notebook to court. She can show that she was assaulted, and there's no one to say that it didn't happen because Dustin's dead.
Stand up. Turn around.
Please don't hurt me.
I'm not gonna hurt you, Dustin. I'm gonna kill you.
Tracy takes a life of an innocent young man to win a custody battle.
She fires, and she hits him 9 out of 11 times.
She plotted, she planned, she pulled the trigger.
Tracy then plants the damning notebook in Dustin's car and turns herself into the victim.
It's a calculated thing. She didn't really have any other bruises on her body, so she had to produce some sort of evidence that Dustin was there and Dustin actually assaulted her.
As outlandish as Tracy's plan was, she pulled it off for 10 years.
Finally, Tracy gets a knock on the door
Yes?
and is arrested. In 2011, the jury takes less than 2 hours to find her guilty of first-degree murder.
She was willing to kill somebody, basically to win a custody dispute.
Tracy Richter is sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Psychopaths look at themselves as being smarter than everyone around them. They pride themselves on their ability to lie and get away with it. But Tracy wasn't that good of a psychopath.